In this video we'll be looking at rationalising the denominator. Now, a lot of you may not know what rationalising means, but we will talk about that a little bit later on. First of all, my video on multiplying and dividing surds, we talked about this rule here, so I recommend if you haven't watched that video yet, go ahead and do that first. But this rule becomes very crucial here. So when we multiply two surds that are exactly the same, ultimately squaring them, then the number within the surd is the solution. So let's look at some examples. We've got 3 examples in total, each getting harder. So the aim of rationalising simply means to get the surd, our root 3 in this case, off of the bottom of the fraction. So we just want a regular number on the bottom. And the way we do that, based on our rule we talked about on the other page, is we must multiply the top and the bottom by our denominator. Because we know that if we multiply root 3 times by root 3, that leaves us with 3 on the bottom. And as you can see, that has got rid of the surd. On the top, 6 times root 3 is simply 6 root 3. And by simplifying our fraction, we can see that 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. So our final result is 2 root 3. A slightly harder example here. 8 root 2 divided by root 6. We do exactly the same again. Multiply both sides by root 6. And that is going to get us 6 on the bottom. And 8 root 2 multiplied by root 6. Again, from our multiplication rules, we just multiply whatever's in the surd together, leaving us with 8 root 12 on top. Now we are able to simplify this. So the square root of 12, let's have a look at that. Again, the biggest square number that goes into 12 is 4. So we can say root 4, root 3. And the square root of 4 is 2. So root 12 can go down to 2 root 3. So we can write that again, 8 times by 2 root 3 over 6. So again, simplifying this together a bit, 8 times 2 is 16, root 3 over 6. And from simplifying our fraction, both of these numbers go into 2. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 root 3 over 3 is our final answer there. Okay, now a slightly harder example. So this is more for the higher candidates, so if you're doing foundation, I wouldn't worry too much about this. But sometimes it will be snuck into a level 5 question. So rather than just multiplying by the denominator here, we need to multiply the top and the bottom by something called the conjugate of the denominator here. All the conjugate means is, for example, here we have a negative, so we've replaced that with a positive, and that would be our conjugate. So 1 plus root 2 on both sides. Now this solution actually just requires a bit of expanding double brackets. So if you aren't confident on that, I will release a video on it in the near future. So 5 bracket 1 plus root 2 over 1 minus the square root of 2 and 1 plus the square root of 2. So our top part of the fraction, our numerator, we can expand out with a single bracket, which is often a lot easier using our claw method. So 5 times 1 gives us 5, and 5 times root 2 is simply 5 root 2. And on the bottom, we just do a double claw. So 1 times 1 and 1 times root 2, and minus root 2 times 1 and minus root 2 times root 2. And the main point of this, you will see at the end, is it will again cancel out that surd on the denominator. So 1 times 1 gives us 1. 1 times root 2 is simply root 2. 1 times minus root 2 is going to be minus root 2. And minus root 2 times root 2 is going to be minus 2. So you can see here, these are opposites to each other, ultimately leading them to cancel out. So 5 plus 5 root 2 over, and all we have is 1 minus 2, which is minus 1. To clean this up a bit, the 1 on the bottom doesn't mean anything, so we can write it like this. And that negative can be factored in, leaving us with minus 5 root 2. And that is our final answer. So all questions you should get will be variations of these three that we've talked about today. But again, this rule here is crucial when it comes to doing these types of questions. Thank you for watching, and I hope that helped.